Somewhere in your 30s, you'll make one quiet decision that could cost you over $1 million by retirement. And it won't feel like a mistake. It'll feel like a reward. The last mistake on this list is the one you're probably making right now. And by the end of this video, I'm going to prove it to you. It starts with a raise. Picture it. You just got bumped up $8,000 a year. You worked hard for it, and honestly, you earned it. So the apartment gets an upgrade. The Corolla becomes something with heated seats. Takeout twice a week quietly becomes takeout 4 times a week. Then, 3 months later, something strange happens. You check your bank account, and it looks exactly like it did when you made less money. That's lifestyle inflation, mistake number 1, and it's the most common wealth killer in America. Because it never feels like spending, it feels like progress. The psychology is sneaky. Your brain adjusts to any upgrade in about 6 to 8 weeks. That new car, pretty soon it's just your car. Researchers call it hedonic adaptation, which is a fancy way of saying the happiness fades, but the payment doesn't. Meanwhile, your brain treats every raise as permission. You suffered for this money. You deserve to feel it. But run the numbers on what that raise could have been. If you invested just half of it, around $330 a month, and left it alone at average market returns, that single raise grows to nearly $500,000 by retirement. One raise. Half invested. $500,000. The fix is a rule you set once. Every time your income goes up, split the difference. Half improves your life today. Half gets automatically transferred to your future the same week the raise starts, before your brain gets attached to it. But keeping the money is only step 1. Because there's a mistake that decides whether your savings become a fortune or a disappointment. And it comes with a 10-year price tag most people never see coming. Meet Sarah and Jake. Both 30. Same job, same salary, same city. Sarah opens an investment account and puts in $500 a month. Jake says the sentence millions of Americans say, "I'll start once things settle down." The wedding, the move, the kids, things never settle down. He finally starts at 40. From there, they're identical. Same $500 a month, same average return, about 8%, roughly what the US stock market has delivered over the long run. Both retire at 65. Sarah ends up with about $1.1 million. Jake ends up with about $475,000. Sit with that. Jake only skipped 10 years, which is $60,000 of deposits. Yet he finishes more than $600,000 behind. The gap isn't the money he didn't put in. It's the growth that money never got the chance to earn. Hold on to that idea, because it comes back at mistake number 10 in a way that might genuinely bother you. So why do smart people wait? Because waiting feels responsible. You tell yourself you need to research more, or the market needs to calm down, or the next paycheck will be the right one. But waiting for the perfect moment is usually just fear wearing a suit. The market has crashed, recovered, and hit new highs over and over. The people who won weren't geniuses. They were simply in it. Start small and start ugly. A low-cost index fund, which is just one investment that buys a tiny slice of hundreds of American companies. Set to pull $50 or $100 automatically every month. Time does the heavy lifting. You just have to show up. And if you have a regular job, there's a version of this that's even better, because someone will literally hand you free money to do it. Turning it down is mistake number 3. And millions of Americans make it every single payday. Think back to your first week at work. HR slides a stack of forms across the table, and buried in the middle is a 401k enrollment page. You're overwhelmed, so you pick the smallest number, or skip it entirely, promising yourself you'll circle back. Years go by. Here's what that little box actually costs. Say your employer matches contributions up to 3% of a $60,000 salary. That's $1,800 a year they will hand you, but only if you put in your share first. Skip it, and you're refusing an instant 100% return on your money. Nothing on earth reliably beats that. And it doesn't stop there. That $1,800 a year, invested over 30 years, grows past $200,000. A house down payment built from money you never had to earn. Why do we leave it on the table? Because retirement feels like a rumor. A dollar today is real. A dollar at 65 feels imaginary. Psychologists call it present bias, and companies know the paperwork friction alone will stop half of us. So make it stupidly simple. Tonight, log into your benefits portal and contribute at least enough to capture the full match. If there's an option to auto-increase your contribution by 1% each year, turn it on. You will barely feel it, and future you inherits the difference. If you want to go further, a Roth IRA is simply an account where your investments grow and come out tax-free in retirement. And opening one takes about 15 minutes. Of course, for a lot of people in their 30s, there's a monster eating the paycheck before any of this can happen, and the way it hides is almost genius. There's a number on your credit card statement designed to keep you calm. The minimum payment. You owe $6,000. And the statement says all it needs this month is $150. Feels manageable. Feels handled. Now find the fine print, because by law, it has to tell you the truth. Keep paying the minimum, and you'll be at this for well over a decade, often closer to 20 years, and you'll hand back roughly double what you borrowed. That's mistake number 4, carrying high-interest debt. And it has a trap built specifically for smart people. As of this recording, typical card rates sit above 20%. Some folks keep investing while carrying that debt because investing feels like progress. But earning 8% while paying 24% is like jogging up an escalator that's moving down. Paying off a 24% card is a guaranteed 24% return, which makes it the single best investment available to you right now. Mentally, we dodge this by keeping our money in separate boxes. Debt lives in one box, savings in another, and we never let them meet, because adding them together would force us to face a negative number. The way out is boring and it works. List every debt by interest rate. Attack the highest rate first, while paying minimums on the rest. If you need quick wins to stay motivated, kill the smallest balance first instead. Either method succeeds if you finish it. One exception along the way, keep grabbing that 401k match, because free money outranks everything. Now credit cards get all the headlines, but the biggest debt mistake of your 30s usually arrives with a smile, a handshake, and society's full approval. The lender says you're approved for $450,000, and in that exact moment, every $300,000 house you loved last weekend suddenly looks a little sad. Funny how that works. Mistake number 5 is buying too much house, and here's what nobody mentions at the closing table. Banks approve you for the maximum they believe you can survive, not the amount that lets you build wealth. Their formula doesn't include your kids' braces, your transmission dying, or your dream of ever retiring. Why do we stretch? Because in America, a house is the most visible scoreboard of adulthood. We add the extra bedroom for guests who visit twice a year. We're not really buying square footage. We're buying a feeling, the feeling of having arrived. The consequence has a name. House poor. 40% or more of your take-home goes to the mortgage, then property taxes and insurance pile on, and then the rule, first-time buyers learn the hard way. Maintenance runs 1 to 2% of the home's value every single year. Suddenly there's nothing left to invest, and every month feels tight inside a house that was supposed to feel like success. Run one comparison. The gap between the maximum approval house and the comfortable house is often around $700 a month. Invest that gap through your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and it grows to roughly $1 million. The guest bedroom might be the most expensive room in America. Protect yourself with one line in the sand. Keep your total housing cost, payment, taxes, and insurance combined under about 28 to 30% of take-home pay. Buy for the life you actually live. I used a phrase just now, a feeling of arrival, and it points somewhere uncomfortable. 2 mistakes from here. We need to talk about who you're really buying things for. But first, the strangest money problem in America, and it's hiding inside 6-figure paychecks. Try this riddle. Someone earns $120,000 a year, which puts them near the top fifth of American households, and by the 25th of every month, they're checking their balance before buying groceries. Survey after survey finds a shocking share of six-figure earners living exactly like this, paycheck to paycheck. How is that possible? Because income and wealth are two completely different games. Income is what flows in. Wealth is what you keep. And without a system, money doesn't get saved. It gets absorbed, not by dramatic purchases, but by 100 quiet leaks. The subscriptions you forgot, the delivery fees, the Amazon orders you can't even remember by Friday. There's a psychological twist here too. The more you earn, the less you check. Tracking feels beneath you because, hey, you make plenty. That's precisely how plenty disappears. And the danger is real. A high earner with zero margin is one layoff away from crisis, no matter how impressive the paychecks looked for a decade. The cure is called paying yourself first, and it flips the entire order of your money. The day your paycheck lands, an automatic transfer moves a set amount into savings and investments before you can touch it. You spend what's left instead of saving what's left. Then do one 30-day experiment. Track every dollar for a single month. Not forever, just once. Most people discover $200 to $500 a month they had no idea they were losing. Okay, deep breath, because the next one is the mistake nobody admits. Not to their friends, not to their spouse, sometimes not even to themselves. And I'd bet you've made it this year. Think about the last purchase that gave you a little rush when someone noticed it. The truck, the watch, the vacation that existed twice, once in real life, and once for the people watching it online. Now the uncomfortable question behind mistake number 7. How much of that was for you, and how much was for them? Status spending is ancient wiring. For thousands of years, showing the tribe you were doing okay kept you safe. But social media broke the scale. You used to compare yourself to the neighbors. Now you compare yourself to everyone's highlight reel, every single day, and your budget is quietly competing with the entire internet. Here's the first plot twist. The audience isn't watching. Everyone is too busy starring in their own show to review yours. Which means some of us are taking on debt to impress people who spend 0 minutes a week thinking about us. And the second twist is even better. Researchers who study actual millionaires keep finding the same pattern. Most drive ordinary cars, live in modest neighborhoods, and look nothing like rich. The flashiest spenders are often the most financially fragile. Real wealth tends to be quiet. So try an audit. Pull up your last 90 days of transactions and label each one honestly. Was this for my life or for an audience? Then unfollow the accounts that make you feel behind. Envy is one of the most expensive subscriptions you'll ever carry, and canceling it is free. But now I have to flip the script on you. Because you can cut, budget, and optimize all day, and there's a hard ceiling on what that saves. The next mistake is about the number with no ceiling at all, and ignoring it can cost more than the first 7 combined. 2 people get hired the same week at $55,000 a year. One does the job, does it fine, and rides the standard 3% raise for a decade. The other treats her income like an asset. 30 minutes a day building skills her industry pays for. Raising her hand for stretch projects. And this is the big one, actually interviewing elsewhere every couple of years, even when she's happy. 10 years later, he's around 74,000. She's past 110. Same starting line. Wildly different lives. Mistake number 8 is treating your salary like the weather, something that just happens to you. Asking for money feels dangerous, so we stay loyal and quiet. But the data on job switching is blunt. People who change companies strategically tend to out-earn the ones who stay put. Loyalty is priceless in friendship and expensive in payroll, and the math is lopsided in your favor. Frugality has a floor because you can only cut so much. Income has no ceiling. Every extra dollar you earn in your 30s still has 3 decades of compounding ahead of it. Start with 1 hour a week on a skill your field pays a premium for. Look up your market rate. since salary data is free online now. And negotiate every single offer, because one slightly awkward 10-minute conversation can be worth 6 figures over a career, since every future raise stacks on top of that higher base. At this point, you might be feeling good. Invest early, dodge the debt, grow the income. Done, right? Here's the terrifying part. You can do all of it perfectly and still lose everything in one bad afternoon. Rachel was doing everything right. 34, investing steadily, cards paid off. Then, one October, her transmission died on a Monday, $2,800. And an ER visit on Thursday added $1,500 more after insurance. With no cushion, both landed on a credit card at 26%, and 18 months of progress started unraveling in 4 days. Mistake number 9 is skipping the boring stuff, emergency funds and insurance. We skip them because of optimism bias, the quiet belief that disasters happen to other people. And insurance feels like paying for nothing, right up until it's the only wall between you and starting over. Meanwhile, surveys keep showing most Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 surprise without borrowing. Not because emergencies are rare, because we plan like they are. Build the wall in layers. First, a starter emergency fund, $1,000 in a separate high-yield savings account. Boring on purpose. Then, grow it toward 3 to 6 months of expenses. That money isn't sitting there doing nothing. It's guarding everything else you're building. Then, 2 protections your 30s quietly demand. If anyone depends on your income, get term life insurance, the simple kind, not the pricey investment kind, which for a healthy 30-something often costs about 1 dinner out per month. And ask about disability coverage, the forgotten one, because through your 30s and 40s, your ability to earn a paycheck is worth more than everything you own. You insure your phone, insure the income that bought it. Which brings us to the final mistake. I saved it for last because it isn't really its own mistake. It's the mother of the other 9. And it's the decision I warned you about in the very first sentence of this video. Say it with me. I'll start next year. That's the sentence. It feels harmless, patient even. At 33, retirement is 3 decades away. Plenty of time, right? That feeling is lying to you, and there's real science behind why. When researchers scanned people's brains while they thought about their future selves, the brain reacted almost the way it does for a stranger. Not future you. A stranger. So every time you say, "I'll handle it later," you're handing your biggest problems to someone your brain doesn't fully believe is you. Now, the math that should change your week. At average market returns, invested money doubles roughly every 9 years. Take $10,000 at 32. It doubles at 41, 20,000. Again at 50, 40,000. Again at 59, 80,000. Once more around 68, 160,000. Look closely at that last double. It earned $80,000, more than the first 3 combined. So when you wait 10 years to start, you don't lose the small first double. You erase the final one, the biggest one. Procrastination doesn't delay your wealth. It deletes the largest piece of it from the end, where you never see it disappear. That is the $1 million decision from the beginning of this video. Not a bad stock, not a scam, just the words "next year" repeated softly for a decade, while lifestyle inflation, the skipped match, the minimum payments, and the too big house all whispered the same comforting lie. There's still time, so do one 10-minute thing before this video ends. Open the account, bump the contribution by 1%, set the automatic transfer, not Monday, today, small, and now beats perfect, and someday. Every single time. Look back at all 10 mistakes for a second. Not one of them felt like a mistake in the moment. They felt like rewards, like patience, like being normal, like being responsible. That's exactly what makes your 30s so dangerous. The damage is silent and the bill arrives 20 years later, with interest. But flip that around and it becomes the best news you'll hear all week. The same silence works in your favor. Automate 1 transfer, grab 1 match, kill 1 debt, learn 1 skill, and future you inherits the compounding instead of the regret. You don't have to fix all 10 this week. You have to fix 1 today. 10 years from now, you'll either thank the person watching this video or you'll wish you could talk to them. If this video changed the way you think about money, leave a comment telling us which mistake you've already fixed, or which one you're going to tackle first. Subscribe for practical personal finance videos that help you build real wealth without unnecessary complexity. And before you go, watch the next video on your screen because it explains the money habit that quietly separates ordinary earners from future millionaires.